a collaborative gathering place especially for women to share personal stories, support, and advice, wisdom included. Hello and welcome to Wisdom Included. I'm Shelley Carney. It's Friday with Friends, and I'm happy to introduce you to my friends, mentors, and fellow entrepreneurs so they can share their stories with us. Today, I'm pleased to introduce the creator of Mis Quince Anos Expo and guide, Delfina Garcia. Hello, Delfina. Thank you for coming today. Tell us your story.
Thank you for inviting me. And I am from Albuquerque, New Mexico. I am an only child, and most of all my family own their own business, and I think I was raised to want to do the same.
Mm-hmm.
So I enjoyed seeing my family members have their own schedule and do what they felt they wanted to do. I just didn't understand how much work it was.
Right. So did they work at home as well as out when they were away?
Most of them worked away,
Mm-hmm.
you know, they had their own store, they had a feed store, different things like that.
And what type of businesses have you been in?
Well, I've been in a few different ones. When I first started and I wanted to be an entrepreneur, is how I say it,
Mm-hmm.
I started a business with logos. So I was selling logo hats, logo shirts, anything you could put a logo on for a business, I was selling. So I did a lot of cold calling. I walked into a business and got to see if they could use my service. So that's one of many, but it was the first one that I ever started.
So how old were you when you were doing that?
Well, I can tell you I've been doing this for about 8 to 10 years. I'm going to say, I don't know exactly, because I kind of did other things like MLMs. I did that in the past too.
Okay, so tell me about MLMs and what you thought about that.
Well, I was in an MLM, a makeup MLM that's very well known, and I did very well at getting to where you should go, right? The big directorship title. But what I learned was it was a lot harder than what we're told. And it cost a lot also. Now, I'm not saying it can't be done, but I am saying it is a lot of work and it is a lot of investing.
Right. And you were a recruiter.
Yes, I was very good at recruiting, actually. I became a director in about 3 months, which is, you know, unheard of and really fast, but because I speak 2 different languages, it helped also.
So you had Spanish group and an English group.
Yes, I had one of each.
And so you grew up in that area really quickly, and you say, though, that it's a very difficult way to make money. Is that correct?
It is, because you do have to have those skills as running a business. Like you got to have the sales part of it.
Right.
You got to know how much money you're really spending, and then you got to learn what you're really selling. So, I mean, it takes time, but also you got to think about, is that your passion? Is that what you really want to do?
Right.
It's kind of a different way to look at a business when you look at an MLM, because you know when you're running, you want to start a business, you actually have to look at the business plan. You have to make it right. Who are your demographics? You know, who is your market? All of that. And in MLMs, they don't really give you that.
Oh. So you've been in sales most of your life. Is that fair to say?
All.
All of your life. So what have you learned as a salesperson that has applied in other areas of your life?
Well, I've done so many different types of sales, and I have sold so many different things. But one thing that I have learned is I have about 20 seconds to build a relationship. And I became very good at it because I had to do about 60 cold calls a week. And I had to go in, and it had to be that fast. So they used to call me Bond, James Bond, because I could come in and just by looking at where, you know, around you, what you're wearing, then I can figure out how we can connect.
Right. So that takes a lot of courage to have to make that many cold calls in a week.
Yes.
And then you did that for years.
Yeah, I did that for a few years, but when I wanted to work as an entrepreneur, my own business, I had to do it again, right? So I learned really fast how to do it on the phone and also in person.
So what do you think helped you to gain those skills and that confidence to do those sales?
Hearing no a million times.
But you got back up again and you kept going.
Yes, what I did is I really looked at it like this, okay? So I know I will learn how to do this. I just got to keep trying different ways. And that's what I did. So first I would take the approach of doing it this way, and then I tried this way and that, and then kind of figured out, oh, okay. So if they're this personality, which you can pretty much, after seeing so many people, you could tell, then you know what approach to take.
So you're self-taught, on-the-job training, but have you ever trained other people to sell?
Yes. Well, I do a class now actually for sales for another MLM group.
Okay.
But I actually am the person that any new salespeople, when I worked in food service, they would come through me. I train them. I train them in how to use their computer, and those are, selling is one thing, but you got to know how to do it all. It can't. It's not just one, right?
That's true.
And you got to hear that no. You can't get all scared and be like, oh, she said no. So everybody said no.
So I give up.
And my girls in my program, that's what I teach them. So when we do fundraisers and they come and tell me, Miss Delfina, no one wants to buy it, no one. And I'm like, really? Who's no one? So then either they can go back out or they can not do it, and then they don't get to do all the fun stuff we do, right? So I teach them how to go back out there, and as soon as they hear those yeses, and they become like, oh, this isn't too bad. It's just not everybody wants what we have.
That's right. Now let's talk about Mis Quince Anos.
Okay.
Your program, you have an expo, you have a guide, and you have a program for girls. Let's talk about that.
Yes. So I started Mis Quince Anos 4 years ago, and this was not my thing, okay? Let's make that clear. I did not plan to do this. Or to do that business. I was helping another girl start this business, and about a month and a half before the event, she decided it was too much work to put an event together. Okay, so I said, well, I'm done. This was not my gig, and I'm done. And I called a friend of mine in New York. Why I called a person in New York? So when I called her, I said, I'm done. This is too much work. I need to do something different. I'm in sales. That is what I do. And and she said, well, I'm so sorry, but you better go put your big girl panties on, and you better figure it out. And she actually flew out to make sure that I did it. So we ended up really putting this together, but it wasn't about the event for me. See, like if you can see everything I've done in the past, it wasn't about an event, and it's not about a product. It's about doing something, right, to empower and to educate. And it's mostly for women, because I've tried working with men. It's boys. It's a little different, right? So that's what I do, and that's what I learned. And I could sell that any time, any day or night, because that's what's in my heart. So with the Mis Quince Anos, our program, what we do is we teach our girls about domestic violence, teen pregnancy, bullying, and we also teach them how to set goals and how to value their self, because sometimes the peer pressure that we have in school is so much. They don't value their self. And that's what we teach. It's to empower and educate. And that's the same thing I'm doing today that I've done in different ways through my whole career.
Well, and I admired that because you saw a problem. You saw young girls in bad situations, getting pregnant too young, not having a chance to grow up and have a life before they get married, and then they get into these abusive relationships. But we see that. A lot of us see that, but we don't know what to do about it, to fix it. But you're actually going out there, being proactive, and teaching these girls how to have a life.
Exactly. And the Latina numbers are so high. That was a big part of it. And it wasn't just because of our numbers, it was because I lived it. See, my mom had me when she was 16. I had my first child when I was 17. And my daughter was already 21. She was like 22 or 23. I know she's over 21 though. I was so excited. I was like, yay, we beat this, right?
Oh, right.
And my youngest daughter ended up pregnant at the same time. And I thought, where did I go
the pattern,
wrong?
but it just still showed up.
Well, it was in a coma for about 2 weeks, and I cried and I said, what did I do wrong? Why? So I sat them down and I said, well, what didn't I teach you? Is what I thought, right?
Right.
So when I started Mis Quince Anos, I made my youngest daughter and oldest daughter go to the class and ask them, what didn't I teach you, or what did I teach different? So it had a lot to do with confidence.
Now, you say with your program, you have the mothers come as well. Is that correct?
Yes. So I'm nobody's. It's really hot. I'm nobody's babysitter. I've already raised 4 kids, is what I tell them, and you need to be there so they can ask you. So that they don't need to call me at midnight. They can, but they don't need to. They need to call you because you're the mom.
Right.
And what I've seen is how they grow together. They become so close. She trusts her more. She's able to ask her more, right?
Well, it's an amazing program. Can you tell us what you're currently working on? I know you have a digital magazine coming out. I know you have an event coming up that's attached to that, and then of course you have your Quince Anos things. So tell us about what's coming up for you.
Okay, so the next thing that we have coming is the magazine. So it comes out November 19th. It's my community magazine, working together to make a difference. And our city, our state, our future. And I wanted it to be about the same thing, empowering and educating our people, because after working with the parents and the kids, we seem to think we know and we don't know. We don't know a lot of things. So that's what I wanted to teach on. I wanted to teach on what we really don't know. Like even for myself, my insurance guy made me sit down and listen to him because I was like, I'm too busy. He's like, sit down, I need you to know these things that I didn't know. So just a whole bunch of different things, and also giving this to our kids. I'm working with schools, and they're able to, the kids are able to take part in learning about media arts and learning about a magazine and learning how to do photography and everything else that goes with it. So that's for the magazine. We will have the coming out for the magazine, which will be November 19th. So that's the event that we'll have.
Okay, great. And so if people want to get in contact with you or learn more about your program, where can they go?
They can call me at 505-918-3680.
Okay.
Or they can go to our Facebook page and see what we're all about at Quinceanera, Mis Quince Anos Facebook page, or they can go to my community magazine Facebook page.
Okay, and we'll have those links for you in the description box below. Thank you so much for coming today and speaking with me, Delfina. I appreciate your time, and you're doing amazing work, and I hope that you keep it up and that the community will support you in it.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
And for Wisdom Included, I'm Shelley Carney. Leave a comment below if you built a business to help young women realize their potential, and tell me your story. If this is your first time here, please take a moment to subscribe. I'll continue to post new videos several times each week featuring personal stories, support, and advice, wisdom included.